Okay, YouTubers, this is Joe from ArtAlienTV. Real quick game of Interplanetary I Spy going on here. Now, there's been a lot of fuss about this image over the last few days, last week or so, and I'm going to explain what I think it is. Now, there's various videos out there showing this. Your team have done one. I think UFO VNI has done one as well. And they're claiming this is some kind of entrance to the moon or something like that, or it's some kind of massive structure on the moon. I don't think it is, and I'm going to show you why now. Now, unlike a lot of these channels, I actually do my research, and I looked up the image, and here it is on the NASA archive here. This is Apollo 8 archive. Let's go to the top of the page. Apollo 8 photography index. Now, this is from Apollo 8 magazine 18, and we go right to the bottom of the page, and here's the image. Now, these other people that have published it haven't actually published the whole image. They published a cropped version of this, like this, which is on Flickr. Now, this is a very small image. When you look at the download size of this, it's very small indeed. It says original 450 by 450. That is tiny. That's absolutely ridiculous. But if you actually just copy and paste the number from down here, the image number, and put it into Google, then you come up with the proper image archive, which is this page. So obviously these people don't know how to use Google. And I'll show you the image now, and I'll explain to you what I think this huge triangular pizza slice-like thing is. Now, here's the image. This is quite a good quality image actually, but what you can see here quite clearly is the image has been folded along here. This is a fold line. How do I know this? Well, I used to be a photographic restorer. I used to restore photographic portraits for people professionally, and I also used to paint portraits from these photographs, but I often had to restore the old photograph first. Often they were black and white and were heavily damaged, just like this one is. Now, what I would do to restore something like this, I would use the clone tool and get rid of that scratch mark, or fold mark, I mean. And I'd also cover this up here. But what's happened here is the photograph, and these are real photographs that have been scanned onto the computer and basically uploaded to the Apollo archive online. So they've been turned into digital images from the original, or one of the original prints, which were real photographs taken by real people with real cameras, not digital but real. Okay, so this is from a print that's been scanned, and you can see the edge of it here. And what's happened is it's folded over, and this part of the photograph is now missing, because what I think's happened is that this folded over to here and stuck to this part of the image, and I expect the person who scanned the photograph in many years later, unfolded this picture and then tore it, and it looks like they've tried to clean up or tidy up the image with either a piece of tape, looks like a piece of tape on it here, or they've cut it out or something like that. But it's pretty obvious that the image is heavily damaged, and to me this looks like the ink from the top part of the image here has stuck to the lower part of the image here and damaged the photograph. And I spotted that straight away. That I've seen very similar things to this before. There's also this big spot here. This is very common with old photographs. If they're not stored properly, they get stuck together, and the pigment, the dark pigment, which is black obviously, then sticks often to the lighter part of the image. Now, this can be seen in many Apollo images. You can see where the images were damaged, the photographs were damaged in storage, and you often see, if you look up here, you've got little bits of it, like artifacts in the image up here where the photograph has been damaged, and you get mold, you get water marks and stains, you get even dead insects. You've got over here a little, what looks like a hair, human hair. You get human hair stuck on them, and often these things, you get things like insects crawling into the storage cupboard or storage cabinet, filing cabinet where the images were kept, and you get things like insects going in there, and then they die, and they get squashed between the images. And this will also explain a lot of the rather immature videos out there that say there's like a big dude walking on the moon, when usually it's just a dead insect that's crawled onto the photograph and died, or been squashed between the actual photos. I will put some examples in at the end of this video for you of other damaged images. I won't do it now because it would take too long. But this, to me, is a very interesting image. And there's people saying it looks like a slice of pizza. Yes, it does. But if you look carefully, you can actually see through it here. I think that's real moon detail underneath. But some of the black ink has come off from this part of the image, which is now missing up here, and stuck to this part, where it was folded along this line here. Okay? That's my interpretation. I do have a lot of experience in this field, especially working with real photographs. Of course, you can use digital techniques now to get rid of a lot of these things quite easily on Photoshop and similar programs. So it's not difficult to fix. This is a very severe one. This is one of the most severe cases I've seen in any Apollo image recently. And I have been through all these Apollo archives, but I didn't see this one because it's not on the Flickr archive that I went through very recently. So there we go. So there's a lot of these channels claiming this is an entrance to some underground base on the moon. But if you look at the other images, all the other images of the moon don't have it in, which says to me that it's not there. And this is not taken by some high-speed, ultra-fast digital camera. This is taken by a normal camera by a human being. And it looks like where the image was stored, it got damaged, it got folded, and the pigment has come off and stuck to that part of the image. And it does kind of look like a very large structure. I'll show you again. I'll show you, actually, here's the image just before it. Okay, this is 2907, and it looks just like a normal photograph of the moon. Not brilliant quality, but not bad. Taken through the window on the Apollo 8 spacecraft, okay, by an astronaut, and you can actually see a reflection in the window here where they're looking through. And then you go to the next one, taken very shortly afterwards, I'd imagine only a few seconds later, and you have this. And you can actually see up here where it looks like a piece of tape or something was holding this up, or something like that. But you can clearly see this fold line. I can zoom right in. This is a fold line where the actual image itself was creased and folded. So there we have it, folks. So another moon anomaly explained. I mean, there are real anomalies on the moon. I'm not saying there aren't things like entrances and structures and towers, and there's all sorts of interesting things on the moon. Of course there are. And a lot of us researchers have found some pretty crazy ones recently. I'll just show you this one if you haven't seen it already. This is one I posted just yesterday on YouTube. I've called it Moon Baby, Giant Head in Lunar Crater. Now this is definitely in the image, and it looks like a massive head. What can I say? I'm still kind of shocked about this image. I went through the entire Apollo archive, or at least most of it, fairly quickly just the other day. But I did go through the whole lot pretty much last year. Over 14,000 images, but not all the images are on the Flickr archive. And the Flickr archive version of this obviously has been very badly downsized, and the damaged part of the image has been removed, which is why people have misinterpreted this, because they didn't see the top part of the photograph where it's been folded and stuck to this. So there we go. This is how easy it is to get these things wrong. I'm not saying these channels don't do their research, but they should research maybe a little bit further and look a little bit harder to see if they can find the original image like this, which is actually a large image. This one here, it's about 1.5 megabytes, so it's quite a large image. And they're using a terrible quality, tiny little source image, which is only 450 pixels wide. I mean, that's tiny. I mean, that's the size of a postage stamp. I think these channels need to really up their game a little bit if they're going to actually try and put these things out as serious. I know a lot of these things are speculation, and this thing may well just turn out to be an optical illusion, like many of these things do. The Moon Baby. But this structure is there, and it's down to interpretation what you think it is. So there we go, folks. So check this one out. It's well worth a look. It's a very, very odd image. In fact, I would probably say it's the strangest moon image I've ever seen. And this crater here is probably 2 or 3 miles across, possibly a lot larger. So this thing is absolutely enormous, but I actually think these are domes here, and it just happens to look like a massive head. But who knows? We will probably never know the real truth unless we go back there and get some different angles and different shots of the area. So there we go. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you soon.